Okay, so this is lesson 109 of a workbook of the Course in Miracles, PT 109. I rest in God. Um, I think our dearly departed brother, John Kennedy, while he was out there in those waters, probably at some point in time had to come to a moment in his own mind that he had to rest in God and trust this all to God, because I have no idea how he could have endured what the hell it was he endured had he not had that in his mind somewhere. Um, so when I read this lesson last night, sort of preparation, because that's one of the things I do. I'll read it the night before, um, before I retire for the evening. I got almost all the way through the lesson when I began to rest in God. And when I woke up, I was wondering, like, what would I do as a commentary for this lesson, except perhaps make a 10-minute video of me resting in God, um, which probably would have been misunderstood. So, in asking, okay, what the hell do I do? What do we talk about? In regards to I rest in God, we ask for rest today. And it's a day of rest. How do you like that? Lesson 109, I rest in God, shows up on Sunday, which is the day God rested and we can rest in Him. How does this happen is what I would like to know. We ask for rest today in quietness, unshaken by the world's appearances. We ask for peace and stillness in the midst of all the turmoil born of clashing dreams. We ask for safety and for happiness, although we seem to look on danger and on sorrow, and we have the thought that will answer our asking with what we request. That doesn't sound like PT 109. John Kennedy, we're asking for safety. We're asking for happiness. Although, while he's floating in that ocean, I'm sure he's looking on danger and on sorrow. And yet, he did what he was asked to do, or he knew he must do. Rest in that water until somebody was able to find them. I rest in God. This thought will bring to you the rest and quiet, peace and stillness, and the safety and the happiness that you seek. I rest in God. I rest in God completely undismayed. This thought will carry, completely undismayed, this thought will carry you through storms and strife, past misery and pain, past loss and death, and onward to the certainty of God. There is no suffering it cannot heal. There is no problem which it cannot solve. No appearance but will turn to truth before the eyes of you who rest in God. This is the day. This is the day of peace. You rest in God. And it just happens to be Sunday, the day that God supposedly rested in his creative capacity as creator of you, me, and all the universe for that matter. And as Jesus says, the universe of universes. You rest in God, and while the world is torn by winds of hate, your rest remains completely undisturbed. Yours is the rest of truth. Appearances cannot intrude on you. You call to all to join you in your rest, and they will hear and come to you because you rest in God. They will not hear another voice but yours. because you gave your voice to God and now you rest in Him and let Him speak through you. So, in Him you have no cares, no concerns, no burdens, no anxiety, no pains, no fear of future, no past regrets. In timelessness you rest while time goes by without its touch upon you, for your rest can never change in any way at all. And if that is not what I discovered in my revelatory experience, and that allowed me to awaken to what is actually going on around here and what my function is here, then there is no better description. And this is why, this is what I was given to talk about today. The reason I can rest in God, and the reason you too can rest in God, if you so choose to believe what I'm about to tell you, is because the only way you can rest in God is by recognizing that God is love and He is not to be feared at all. God does not judge. So therefore, nothing you do, nothing you think you've done, nothing you thought you've done, nothing you ever will do, not even the idea of separation, can allow God to think differently of who you are, because you are a thought in His mind, and His mind is the mind of eternal rest. Yet, if there is guilt, if you believe guilt is a possibility, if you believe fear is a possibility, then you will not be able to rest in God, because those beliefs must come from your relationship to God and your thinking about what God is and how God is going to exact the punishment on you the moment He can get His hands on you in death. He will pursue you past the grave and punish you past the ability for you to even have a body. Now, if you think like that, how would you ever be able to rest in God? That is my question. The reason why I've learned it is possible to rest in God is because none of that is true. God is love. Guilt is impossible. Fear is absurd. And when those things begin to dawn on you, because of the experiences you begin to have, based on a lesson much like yesterday's, where forgiveness of one brother totally allows you to recognize the totality of the fact that there's never been anything to forgive, and you've never left the eternal loving arms of your Father's home, and you are right there in one of the many mansions. In my Father's house, there are many mansions. Had I not told you, it would not be true. You are at home, resting in one of the many mansions in the kingdom of heaven. And yet, if fear and guilt enter into your mind as being a possibility, you will not be able to seek haven in your own mansion within the kingdom God created you to be. Now, one of the blessings that was given to me and that I'm sharing with you right here, right now, is my certainty that God is love. That love is total. Outside of it, there is nothing. You cannot be separate from the totality of God's love. So there is nothing to fear and nothing to be guilty for, nothing to be guilty of, because nothing has ever threatened that, nor has anything other than your own thinking about an illusionary possibility of a world based on everything that God is unlike could ever be possible. And I'm here to tell you that it's not possible, never has been possible, and every sensation, every experience, every time you misinterpreted something that has occurred to you, as being reason for guilt and cause for fear, and have given fear and guilt causation in your mind. You have been wrong. You are wrong about now, and you will continue to be wrong about until you accept this simple message that God is love, and therefore so am I, and therefore so have you. And you've been lying to yourself from the beginning, as I discovered I had been lying to myself from the beginning. That doesn't mean that you may not once again pick up the capacity to continue to lie to yourself and believe those lies. But it does mean right now that I am telling you directly that those lies are not true. They were never true in the past. They will never be true in the future. So there's no chance that you could be right about what it is you're thinking, about your inability to take this moment with me and rest in God exactly as you are, right here, right now. You can rest in God because I can rest in God, and we can rest in God together, because there is no other way that I can rest in God except I allow you to rest in God with me, because God is the rest that I seek and have found. And I found it before I knew I was seeking it, because finally I surrendered to God, because I could no longer take the fear and the guilt that I was subjecting myself to, or that I thought anything was subjecting myself to. So therefore I thought everything was subjecting myself to it, and everything what God is, and you cannot not be part of that everything. It is not possible to be separate from everything. Impossible. Not possible. Not even conceptually is it possible. You talk about one thought that unifies everything. Try this one. You cannot be separate from everything. And everything is all that is existing. All that exists is everything. All that is real is everything. You cannot be separate from that everything. It's just not possible. That everything is eternal. That everything is whole, that everything is perfect, that everything is all inclusive, and it has no opposition. And that's the reason why you can take rest in it, because it does not have any opposition, nor does it have any opposite to it. I read this lesson last night and had no idea what to say or do, but I did take rest in God. And when I woke up this morning and I recognized that the only way I am able to rest in God was after I've discovered that all my thinking about God was false, that God is only love, and that there is only love in reality, and that despite what all these things said, the storms and strife, past misery, pain, past loss, where else? Let me see. The suffering for all the world. Where's the rest of the things? While the world is torn by winds of hate, you remain completely undisturbed. That's true. It's true whether I remember it's true or not, because when I discovered it was true, it was eternally true. There was no opposite to it. There is no opposite to it now. And I'm here to tell you that it's safe to rest in God if you so choose to, and if you believe what I'm telling you is true. Together, we will find that peace of God right here, right now, and there is no reason why you cannot find that other than your own thinking to the opposite. And there's nothing I can do about your own thinking except laugh at it, because I know you rest in God, because you were resting in God when I discovered I was. Now, if fear and guilt enter into the equation, just use my certainty, Jesus' certainty, the certainty that God is love, to say to yourself, no, God is but love, and therefore so am I. It's not a comparative state, it's the state of your reality. I understand when it hasn't been an experience for you, it exists as a comparative conceptual state that you hold up against another comparative conceptual state, which tells you could be guilty, you could be fearful, and therefore God is out to punish you for something that you can't even remember that you did. When the only thing that is required for you to remember what actually happened was for you to begin to laugh at the tiny mad idea that you could be separate from the totality of the reality of everything that you cannot not be one with now. I don't know if it gets any simpler, and I don't know if I can expose myself anymore. I don't know what you're going to do with that. I'm not concerned. All I know is I rest in God. I've always rested in God. When I thought I wasn't resting with God, I was wrong. And the experience of knowing God is love, knowing that love is all pervasive, knowing there is nothing outside of that love, outweighs my ability to think that all the other crap that seems to go on, or any other emotion that I may momentarily suffer, or think of, or experience, could have any effect on that reality. It cannot. We're talking about a totality, a singularity, a totality, a singular totality that includes everything, outside of which there's nothing, within which is everything, and we call that reality the kingdom of love, which is the creation of our loving and eternal Father. Now, if you can't seek rest there, you can't seek rest anywhere. And you will never find rest in this world, which is constantly pulling you one direction or another because of duality of your own thinking that there is something other than the kingdom of heaven outside of which you could possibly be. And not only that, because you find yourself outside of it, something's going to punish you. What could punish you? I don't know. If, in fact, you are outside of the totality of reality, what could possibly punish you anyway? It's Sunday. It's a day of rest. The sun is shining. My door is open. God is but love, and therefore so am I. Today, I, in quietness, am shaken by the world's appearances. Is this world an illusion? Is the world of space and time an illusion? Shake your head yes, nod yes. Okay, don't let the illusion confuse you for your reality. Tell yourself, yes, this world's an illusion. Okay, stop believing the illusion is true and stop believing time has come to circumvent eternity rather than eternity, and that eternity is a long time. It's not. Eternity is this instant and every instant within which you decide that you allowed the world to be what it's always been, an illusion, and for you to be what you've always been is the truth of God. You don't have to know that. You just have to accept all things exactly as they are. Don't try to rearrange the conceptual shares on the Titanic to make the shit look like Shinola. You only confuse yourself by your own actions. What's real cannot be threatened. What's unreal doesn't exist. And today, you may find yourself in a situation where that understanding can be made plain to you simply by the application of it in the instant that you find the necessity, rather than kowtowing to the misery that you seem to think is true within the illusion of your own hallucinations. God is love, therefore so am I. Today, Sunday, I am going to rest in God, and I'm going to rest in the certainty that you are there with me, because when I discovered God, you were there with me. I rest in God. You rest in God. We rest in God because there is only God, and we cannot be separate from the reality of that